Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. A Russian motorcycle team speeds down a rural road as FPV drones dive from above. Engines roar, rotors buzz, and both races end in the same explosion. How close they came, you'll see in a moment. Reconnaissance drone records a tracked vehicle rolling across mined ground near Yampolivka. One moment it's routine movement, the next a shockwave wipes the frame. Which side owned the BMP remains unclear. Ukrainian defenders repel a Russian assault at point-blank range. Rifle bursts, grenades, and small drones close in from every direction. What happens when the attacker's shelter turns into their trap? GoPro footage from a Ukrainian tank captures a coordinated push in Kharkiv. Smoke blooms, infantry advance, and the tank trades shots before backing off. How this combined arms move unfolds comes later. This is real footage. No effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. A Russian motorcycle speeds down a rural path as two soldiers cling to it, trying to outrun chasing FPV drones. The quadcopters weave between trees and close in on the exhaust trail. One detonates near the front wheel, throwing both riders to the ground. Seconds later, more drones sweep in, circling the wreckage. The camera catches one final blast before the feed cuts. The incident highlights how open terrain offers no escape when drones are faster than engines. More footage later shows similar hunts across the front. Smoke columns rise over Glushchenkovo as drone footage shows a Ukrainian ammo dump taking a direct hit. The impact triggers a chain of explosions that ripple through stored shells and fuel drums. Debris arcs hundreds of meters into the air while the surrounding tree line catches fire. The operator holds the camera steady as shockwaves distort the image. What began as a pinpoint strike becomes a self-feeding blaze that lasts for minutes. The strike demonstrates how small drones can inflict large-scale losses far from the front. More secondary blasts follow off-screen. A Russian soldier looks up, spots a drone, and decides to throw a grenade straight upward. The blast's timing turns fatal. The grenade returns faster than expected. The explosion throws dust and fragments outward, briefly revealing the soldier's last position. Analysts later noted the delay fuse likely misjudged by seconds, turning desperation into self-destruction. The footage underscores how improvised counter-drone tactics often collapse under basic physics. A second drone passes overhead, confirming the result. What follows shows how chaos punishes miscalculation. A reconnaissance drone hovers over Yampolivka as a BMP crawls forward across mined terrain. Dust rises, then vanishes in a white flash. The vehicle's hull lifts clear off the ground before settling in smoke. Observers on both sides claim ownership of the wreck, but satellite data places the event east of the settlement. The precision of the blast suggests an older mine, not a recent plant. Whatever its source, the footage captures the raw unpredictability of ground warfare. 1 meter too far, and steel becomes scrap. The identity debate continues in later reports. From altitude, a MiG-29 releases a guided bomb over Kursk. The camera tracks the munition as it glides toward a cluster of Russian positions. A white bloom erupts, scattering personnel and debris in every direction. The weapon, identified as an AASM HAMMER, likely launched from within Ukrainian airspace. Precision and altitude keep the jet on scene in the footage. The strike marks one of the first confirmed uses of this French-supplied system by Ukraine's Air Force. The drone lingers over the blast zone, where fires continue to burn as another jet enters frame. A Ukrainian platoon holds defensive ground as Russian infantry advance under artillery cover. Within minutes, the defenders open up with rifles, grenades, and drone-dropped munitions. The attackers scatter, taking shelter behind debris that soon turns into their own trap. Overhead, a quadcopter tracks each movement until the last survivor falls back through a shell hole. The exchange shows how layered defenses, small arms, and drones now merge into a single lethal rhythm. The clip ends before the smoke clears, leaving the outcome open for the viewer to judge. Artillery units correct their fire on a Russian depot packed with Grad rockets and Buk missiles. One round lands directly inside the storage bay, setting off an eruption that engulfs the compound. The drone's feed vibrates from the pressure wave as flaming debris streaks upward. For nearly 30 seconds, the explosion continues, showing the chain reaction of fuel and warheads igniting together. Ukrainian sources later confirmed the strike as part of a coordinated counter-battery effort. The camera lingers on the crater, smoke still venting through the shattered walls. In twilight light near Kremenna, helmet cam footage captures a sudden encounter between a Ukrainian patrol and a lone Russian soldier. The meeting lasts only seconds. Startled, the Ukrainian raises his weapon and fires before either can speak. Online debate later focused on whether the Russian was trying to surrender, but the raw video offers no answer. The moment reflects how close-range confusion defines forest fighting along this sector. The patrol quickly moves on, scanning the tree line for further contact. The clip ends as the camera turns toward rising dawn. Russian strike drones hit targets at Aviatorksy Air Base, roughly 100 kilometers behind the front. Footage shows precision munitions falling near aircraft hangars, followed by twin flashes where 2 MiG-29s were reportedly parked. The strike's accuracy suggests pre-surveyed coordinates, possibly fed by long-range reconnaissance. The footage closes on thick smoke pillars rising over the tarmac. Whether the jets were operational remains unconfirmed, but the attack demonstrates reach far beyond typical frontline artillery. Additional satellite imagery later verified scorch marks matching the impact points. Tank-mounted cameras capture the 3rd Assault Brigade's combined arms push through Kharkiv outskirts. The tank leads with sustained cannon fire, while infantry advance under the smoke screen. Explosions ripple along the tree line as supporting drones spot targets ahead. Once objectives are hit, the tank reverses to avoid return fire, its armor glinting through drifting smoke. The footage shows the coordination between armor and dismounted units. A rare look at textbook maneuver warfare in real time. The last shot tracks the crew backing into cover as artillery lands nearby. A reconnaissance drone records a lone Russian infantryman moving across an open field in Ukraine. The feed shows him stepping on a buried anti-personnel mine. The small detonation instantly disables him, throwing dust and debris into the air. These types of mines are meant to maim rather than kill, stopping troop movement by removing manpower from the line. Ukraine is known to use both NATO-supplied and improvised 3D printed designs, some costing less than $1 each. The clip ends before any recovery team arrives, leaving the soldier's fate uncertain. Ukrainian special forces track 2 BMD vehicles carrying Russian paratroopers through a tree line. The first vehicle takes a direct FPV hit. Troops scatter as the second tries to retreat. It halts just long enough for another strike to find it. Both targets burn out within moments, leaving the area littered with wreckage. The coordination between drone teams and ground observers makes the ambush look effortless. In reality, it's the product of precise timing and overlapping surveillance. More wrecks mark the route beyond the visible frame. Russian and Ukrainian footage merge to show a BMP-3 destroyed by a precision strike. The hit ignites stored ammunition, ejecting the turret high into the air before it crashes down several meters away. The drone zooms in on burning armor plates scattered across the field. The vehicle's total disintegration underscores the volatility of modern armored combat, where internal blasts often exceed the force of incoming rounds. As smoke rises, rescue teams hesitate to approach, aware of secondary explosions. The destroyed hull remains as a warning to crews still advancing. HIMARS footage captures the destruction of a 152mm Meste B howitzer on the east bank of the Dnipro. The system, once a backbone of Russian artillery, vanishes in a pinpoint strike that leaves only a crater and twisted carriage. Analysts note that neutralizing guns in this sector allows Ukrainian units more freedom of movement across the river. The strike highlights the shrinking advantage of Russia's long-range artillery arm. Seconds later, follow-up rounds hit adjacent supply trucks, widening the damage footprint. The recording ends as smoke drifts toward the horizon. A small Russian Desert Cross 1000 buggy tears across open ground, chased by a Ukrainian FPV drone. The pilot keeps the drone level with the rear axle before diving for a clean hit. The explosion disintegrates the lightweight frame, scattering parts across the dirt road. The footage proves that smaller vehicles, marketed as agile alternatives, offer little protection against precision drones. Engineers have since suggested countermeasures, but few survive direct impacts like this. The clip ends with the operator panning across the smoking wreckage. A 3rd Assault Brigade squad moves through an industrial zone near Lyman, clearing rooms once held by a Russian sabotage unit. Helmet cameras show bursts of gunfire, flashlights cutting through dust, and soldiers shouting directions. Most resistance has already collapsed, leaving traces of occupation, bedding, rations, and scattered weapons. The raid's speed suggests advanced intel and close coordination between teams. As the clip ends, the unit marks the building for engineers to sweep for mines. The next segment will show how they expand control through adjoining blocks. A Ukrainian FPV drone loops above a Russian dugout, dropping low over the entrance before diving inside. The detonation sends dust and debris shooting from the hole. Moments later, a second drone enters a nearby shelter and explodes, leaving both positions silent. The footage highlights how drones can breach defenses that artillery and mortars cannot reach. Each view from the hovering recon drone shows new craters marking once hidden posts. The operator scans for movement, finding none before cutting the feed. More clips will reveal just how widespread these attacks have become. A Ukrainian ATGM team locks onto a Russian tank crossing an open field. The missile launches streaking toward its target in a smooth arc before impact. A flash and column of black smoke mark a direct hit. The turret blown clear from the hull. The system's interface resembles modern NATO standard optics, though the specific unit remains unnamed. The destroyed tank burns as nearby troops abandon their positions. The clip underlines the precision of guided systems now fielded at scale across Ukraine's defense lines. A drone glides over a small Russian camp where one soldier naps beside his rifle. The FPV circles twice, then dives, turning the moment of rest into instant chaos. The explosion throws debris across the area, leaving no sign of movement afterward. Operators later dubbed it the world's worst alarm clock, a grim reference to the strike's timing. The clip runs without commentary, just the high-pitched tone of the drone's motors, before silence. It ends with a wide shot of smoke curling from the blast crater. A burning Russian APC forces its crew to bail into open ground. As they sprint for cover, FPV drones appear overhead, adjusting for new targets. Each fleeing soldier is pursued individually, explosions tracing their path across the field. The attack shows how drones now turn escape routes into death zones. The footage ends on the vehicle itself collapsing under secondary blasts. This sequence closes the compilation with a stark reminder. On today's front, survival depends on seconds and direction. Wagner Group elements advance under cover of direct fire and thermobaric rockets, their SPG-9 teams punching smoke into distant hedgerows, while a TOS-1A system rains multiple rockets downrange. GoPro angles catch crews setting up and shifting tubes between streets, indicating short-range saturation tactics rather than prolonged maneuver. Observers note this blend of light anti-armor with thermobaric assets suggests an assault aimed at clearing fortified compounds. The footage shows both mobility and heavy weapons reliance, a profile typical of private military detachments operating alongside regular forces. The clip ends as a crew pulls back under counterfire. Helmet cam from a Ukrainian SOF raid shows operators breaching a defensive trench complex near Kursk. The team moves briskly between firing positions, checking corners and calling over frequencies to coordinate entry. Close quarters detonations and suppressed rifle shots indicate controlled use of munitions to limit collateral damage in the trench. The footage later reveals at least 3 incapacitated combatants and cleared firing steps. Tactical movement and room clearing drills are visible throughout, suggesting the unit followed a rehearsed plan. The sequence ends as they consolidate and radio for extraction. An Outrun 10 reconnaissance drone hovers over a road convoy before a guided strike turns a moving vehicle into burning wreckage. The ordnance impact is captured from above, showing the reticle converging on the target, then a momentary white flare as the engine bay ignites. Analysts note the Outrun 10 itself is unarmed. Its role here was surveillance feeding targeting data to strike assets. The recording underscores how ISR drones coordinate with long-range strike systems to hit fleeting targets. The clip closes on lingering smoke and a scatter of small debris. a Russian soldier manages to connect with a kamikaze drone using his rifle, detonating it inches away, yet survives the blast and flees the scene. The footage highlights a rare successful counter-drone hit that didn't prove fatal. Close inspection of the clip shows the warhead detonated forward, which likely reduced downward blast effects. Medics later report the soldier sustained non-life-threatening wounds. The sequence offers an unusual example of living through a near-contact explosion and raises questions about ad hoc defensive measures under constant aerial threat. Drone footage from Izium records a T-64BV receiving a direct tank-to-tank hit, the crew bailing out as the vehicle lists and flames erupt. 2 crew members are seen sprinting for nearby cover, while the turret remains momentarily engaged before the tank goes silent. The recording confirms how legacy platforms still face high risk against modern fire control and optics. Rescue attempts from nearby units are delayed, likely due to secondary explosion risk. The camera pulls back as the burning tank becomes an isolated landmark on the battered skyline. A small dot appears on the horizon, then grows into the muzzle flash of an RPG as a concealed Russian soldier fires at a column of CV-90s. One of the vehicles takes a near point-blank hit and halts, sending nearby infantry into immediate counterfire. The visual jump cut in the footage suggests multiple camera angles were edited together, but the core event, a rocket striking a tracked IFV at close range, remains clear. The strike underlines the vulnerability of advancing mechanized columns to ad hoc anti-tank teams. The clip ends with the road line erupting into controlled chaos. A drone frames the aftermath of a precision strike near Spurn, where an advancing armored column breaks under sudden hits. One vehicle takes a catastrophic blow that ejects the turret, and successive impacts set fuel and ammunition alight. Local imagery later geolocated the event to the Donetsk Spurn sector. The rapid succession of detonations suggests an anti-armor ambush using guided munitions or well-placed top-attack weapons. Rescue teams keep a cautious distance as the scene continues to smolder. The clip ends with a wide shot of black smoke marking the strike site. That's today's raw footage. No filters, no fluff. This is M6 Archive. Always first on the front lines. Subscribe and share if you want more.